All right, in the house, Mary Jane Buerkle, Plains Cotton Growers, and
Do you ever sleep?
Every once in a while.
She comes in
Every
here
once in a
like,
while.
hello. I mean, she's bright and shiny and ready to start her day.
when
and
most people stagger in here in the 6
I
o'clock hour,
know.
they look like a mole. Their eyes aren't open yet.
they're like, man, this is early. Not Mary Jane.
Okay,
Well.
so anyway, we need rain, we need rain, we need rain, we want it, we want it, we want it, we got it, we got it, we got it, we got it. But now
Is
we need
too
it.
much rain here.
You're not going to hear anybody complaining. We
Right.
needed this moisture so desperately. And the thing is that now what we're building is that deep soil moisture that we have not had in a long, long time. And so at this point, the benefits of the rainfall are outweighing the delays. Now, are we, could we be in a situation over the next week or so if it continues to rain? Absolutely, because we also need as badly as we need the rainfall, we also need that window to get this cottonseed in the ground for this year.
Has
And
anybody
so-
planted yet?
Yes, we do know of some people that that have planted, especially up to the northwest, because see, really what people are up against right now are crop insurance deadlines.
Right.
If you look at the Texas Panhandle, and it's kind of hard to. It's kind of hard to visualize, but kind of areas to the north and northwest of Lubbock, for the most part, have to have their cotton planted by May 31st to be fully covered by crop insurance. You're talking Lamb County, Bailey County, Palmer County, and then places up north, from there. And then Lubbock is June 5th. And then as you go south, Lamesa, that area, it's going to be June 10th. So they're kind of working against the deadline. And then also, I mean, you've got to have it planted in a timely fashion in order to get your crop up and going.
Why is it earlier up north?
Because climate, elevation, because they have a shorter growing season generally, just because of the average date of their first freeze and their last freeze of the year. So,
you would think that they would be later
well,
because of that, because it's
right. But they also, whenever you get toward
But
harvest,
they get their
they will
first
have their
freeze
first freeze
before
before
us.
we do.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
that makes
so,
sense.
Yes. So
I was thinking of ground temperatures and how they haven't had time to really warm up, maybe.
Well, and that's also probably the issue that we're looking at right now is soil temperature. In order for cotton, the optimal temperature is to be able to plant cotton into soil that is 65 degrees. That has been 65 degrees for an average of 10 days. A minimum. And that's tested at an 8-inch depth, and so farmers really keep an eye on that. That's for optimal.
It's kind of like
conditions.
preheating the oven.
Well, in a way, yes, yeah, because cotton needs that heat in order to germinate.
Okay, now
for the seed to
I have a
germinate.
question for you. I went out on a Sunday drive this last week with my mom, and we were out driving around for 3 or 4 hours. Saw a lot of land that was in rows. Now and I'm just asking because I don't know the answer to this question, and it seems kind of stupid because you would just assume that if it was in rows, there was something planted there. If it's rowed up, is there something planted there, or is it?
Maybe or maybe not. I mean, it depends. I mean, because the producer has to prepare their field before they can ever go in and plant. So, it could be that that they've got it ready to go, and then they're trying to get in there and get the seed planted. Now, in some cases, the seed may be planted, but you just can't see it yet because nothing's come up yet. So.
You know what? And there were some places where you would see in the rows where it was evident that people had ran their machinery over it and created the furrow dikes, which are those depressions that hold, tamp the soil down and hold the water. But there were a lot of places where you couldn't even see that. I saw water standing in rows everywhere.
Right. And it's just going to take a while for some of that moisture to dry out enough to where we can get in the field and plant. And that's that's certainly an issue right now with some producers is that when you've got standing water, I mean that's it's a little difficult.
Not good.
Well, I mean it is if you can get a drying out period,
Yeah.
and really over the next week or so we have chances of storms. a storm that comes through and dumps, half an inch, here and there, that, and again, being spotty, because it really just depends on where you are and who's gotten the rainfall and who hasn't.
Because the ground drinks it up pretty fast.
It does, and especially if we can get some sunshine, boy, that sunshine will take care of it as well. So really, as I said, the rainfall certainly is beneficial. No one's complaining because we've needed this. What we also need at this point is some sunshine in order, as I said, just to get our crop in and get it planted. Yes, definitely.
It's so
more
cold
typical
today.
May. That's the thing. I mean, this month has been pretty atypical, especially whenever you consider the last 4 years when it comes to rainfall and cooler temperatures. So it's created some challenges this year.
Well, last week, 1 week ago today, Vic Baliga was on the program and stated that we were at 210% of our annual rainfall average. Now, it was early in the year, up to that day. But, now we got to be way past that with everything else we got.
Right. And again, it depends on where you are. I mean, there's some folks that have had, well over 10 inches already. Some of them got that in in a couple of days, certainly causing some flooding issues.
Right.
Well, and I had a story this morning. We still have 32 counties in extreme and
D3.
exceptional drought.
Yeah, D2.
D3 and 4.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of those counties, there's some in our
Not on
service.
the South Plains, maybe?
Right. There are some in the northern. Now, in our service area, there are a few spots that are still in that area of drought. But a lot of those are off on the rolling plains to our east. But the thing is, the drought map gets updated today. And so we'll be able to see.
Hey, we're in conversation with Mary Jane Buerkle. We'll get back with you in just a couple of minutes if you can hang out.
Sure.
All right. Tom and Laura, Lubbock's First News, in conversation. Mary Jane Buerkle, Plains Cotton Growers. Of course, we've been getting a lot of rain and stuff and creating some delays and things like that, hoping for a window so people can get their crops in the ground, take advantage of the, crop insurance deadline coming up on the 31st.
Well, those are. I mean, because those are set. As I said, the one for here in Lubbock County is June 5th. Places south, June 10th. Some of the places to the north and northwest, May 31st.
All right. Now, once people get it in the ground, if we still have some of this wacky weather where we're getting hail and stuff like that, when the cotton is young, it can actually get frozen out, can it?
Well, if you get a bunch of hail on it, I mean, like you've seen these pictures of hail covering the road. I mean, you'd have to have quite a bit of it. But
I had my backyard covered.
Well, and unless it just depends on how much hail you get and at what stage the cotton's at. But certainly anything falling on it like that is not going to be a good thing.
In jest, I say. Oh, hail.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, the new drought monitor should be out momentarily, and hopefully we'll see a whole lot less drought indicated across the state.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't know they updated that on a weekly basis, and there's not one but two actually reports, right?
Well, two that I've seen, that are different, that are drought monitors. They're generally around the same, though.
All right. Hey, Mary Jane Buerkle, Plains Cotton Growers, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Hey, Vic Baliga, Lubbock County Horticulture Extension Agent, coming up at 7:10 right here. Lubbock's First News. News Talk 790 KFYO at 7:09 with Tom and Laura. This is Lubbock's First News. Hey, I just wanted to kind of clarify something. This morning I was, kind of touching base. Kind of felt bad. Well, it didn't bad. I kind of felt weird about it. I send Vikram Baliga, who's also been in television reports, labeled as Victor, and
it happens.
Yeah,
it happens.
It's Vikram. Anyway, I sent Vic a text this morning, and I said, I used my voice translator, and I said, "You coming in at 7, buddy?" Well, then I say send, and so next thing I know, I get this message that says, "Ha, yup. I don't know what 7 bunny means, but I'll be there at 7."
I didn't know. I didn't know if it was a new nickname.
Yeah.
I kind of like Vikings better.
Yeah.
Right.
In my phone, he's listed as Vikings Baliga.
I mean, it could be worse.
It
could be bunny.
All right. I just want to put things in perspective for you. Some people sit in, unmentionable places and read the funny papers, for extended periods of time. And you ever, when you hear these fun facts and things like that, and you go, well, who would sit around thinking about this kind of stuff? Well,
that would be Vic.
That would be me.
That'd be Vic.
That's me.
Anyway, so we're sitting here talking about rainfall. 1 week ago, we were at 210% of our average annual rainfall. Now, officially, on the Texas Tech Mesonet, we picked up a little bit over, I think, 0.28 inches in the last 7 days.
Yeah, they're about.
Now, I know that's not a correct number for central southwest Lubbock, because I know for fact we got more than a quarter inch of rain.
Yeah. Well, and
way more.
And looking at, we get a lot of localized pockets of heavy rainfall around here, and so I know I picked up more than that at my house here in southwest Lubbock too, and so.
Okay, so anyway, what I was talking about, sitting around, thinking about this kind of stuff, trying to figure all this stuff, I'm just going to wind them up and turn them loose. What about the May totals and the average?
Well, so our average for the month of May is about 2.3, 2.5 inches, somewhere around there. We've had over 7 to date. So we've had
2015 in May 2015.
Just in the month of May, we've had more than 7 inches of rain. And just to keep that in perspective, we had in 2011 we had just over 6 inches of rain in the whole year.
Good grief!
Yeah, so we've had more rain this month than we had in all of 2011.
And people wonder why they feel the earth move under their feet.
Right.
2012 we had something like 10 inches. Or 12 inches the whole year, and we've had 11 so far this year. So we're still poised to have a very wet 2015 overall, which is good. I mean, that's good news for West Texans.
That's what we've been praying for, right?
Yeah.
So
and
here it is.
It's funny because the whole region is just soaked. And I was talking with a friend the other day, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. And he said, well, everyone was praying at the same time, and it got bottlenecked. And then they all got to him at once. And then he was like, all right, now it's time to turn on the spigot. And so we have, incredible amounts of rainfall.
Right.
Well,
one of those be careful what you ask for things.
Well,
okay, and just other things that you brought to our attention, that 12, like during the winter months, 12 inches of snow is the equivalent to about 1 inch of rain.
That's I think about what it worked out to this time.
And then in addition to that, when we're talking about recharging the aquifer, because that's a trickle down thing.
Yeah.
I mean, how much rain do you have to have? I mean, if you don't get ground saturation, you really can't recharge the aquifer because it's not going to trickle down.
There's some, and that's a good question. Our average recharge rate in this area is like between a quarter inch and a half inch a year. So we recharge from surface rainwater. So we recharge pretty slowly. The issue is you've got most of the water that's falling right now, which is not necessarily a bad thing, is a lot of it's running off because our soil is so saturated it can't take a whole lot more water. Now, we've had a few days of dry down. So as we kind of it's been kind of misty and cool the past couple of days.
Soaking.
But nothing really soaking.
Although something happened last night. We got some rain last night.
We had a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't check. I forgot to check my gauge, but because I'm a nerd and I get up and check my rain gauge every morning.
We figured that out.
Yeah.
That's why we have you here.
We all knew that.
That's why we have you here.
No, I don't think that's a secret. But, a lot of it's running off, which, in the urban landscape, you probably want water on your landscape, but we're refilling our lakes, we're refilling our playas, and those are really our sources of recharge, is those playa lakes. So seeing them, I saw a picture that
So when you see them bottled, up to the rim, that's a good thing.
It is a good thing, especially with our cool temperatures, because we're not losing a lot to evaporation right now. I think the highest we've gotten this month is, we maybe hit 91. So it's been cool.
You know what we need to do? Because everybody's got drilling wells to extract the water. But that old Cajun cook guy, Tony Sachery, that's got the Cajun turkey injector thing?
Yeah.
Is there some way we can dig a hole and pump water back into the ground? Or
that's been discussed. I don't know.
I mean, because when we get floods, why... really?
It needs to go somewhere.
Yeah.
It's been discussed, and in some parts of the state where their aquifers are different, like they have different, there's a word I'm looking for, geology, like they're structured differently. They are doing that, or they're
geological formation.
That's a good word. There you go. Thank you. Because some of them are really like a big underground basin. They're rock and they're almost like a big underground lake. Well, those are relatively easy from my understanding, and please understand I'm not necessarily the expert. The water district would be the go-to guys on this, but they're easier to recharge, and they're talking about storing water in those because they're a big underground basin. For us, we're more of a sandy aquifer, and so water has to percolate down through it. Now, not saying that you couldn't necessarily recharge it that way. I think that is a possibility.
It's just a real slow.
It's a slow process, and our playa lakes are designed to recharge the aquifer. Now we have issues with some of them getting silted and there being sediment in the bottom of them that's slowing down the recharge even more. And that's fixable. It's just a huge job. You think about dredging playa lakes and pulling that silt and sediment off the bottom, and so it's a big job.
Well, they do that in the Houston Ship Channel about every 5 years.
Well, that's true.
Takes them about 11 months. But.
Yeah, and it's possible. It's possible. But we are recharging. The High Plains Water District, and I'll bring this in next week, but they just came out recently with their well measurements for 2014. So they take across Lubbock County, they measure hundreds of wells and look at where they are year to year. And our aquifer, our water table did drop a little bit.
You got a map on the back of your bathroom door with push pins in it.
It's possible. Yeah, maybe. Of where all the wells are. Yeah. But we're down a little bit in 2014, but because it didn't start raining until after pumping started. So it didn't start raining until May.
When you say down a little bit?
In our, I think it was less than a foot. So our aquifer, our water table dropped less than a foot, where our 10-year average is like 10 or 12 feet. And so some parts of this region are actually even up. So the water table's risen in parts of our region, and the decline has slowed a little bit. So that's encouraging. Mm-hmm. And I think that means that, the conservation efforts that we're putting in, and
some of us
are putting in. And I think a lot of people are trying. I think we're getting there.
Not my next door neighbor.
I know, right?
We talk about that your poor neighbor a lot, I think.
I have one. I noticed in my neighborhood. I was coming home after we had talked about it on the morning show that day. I come home, and not only are the sprinklers going off in this guy's yard, but they're like fountains, and it's a windy day, so the water's just being blown away anyway, not helping
system.
his yard.
Well, and I wasn't. And last night when I was driving down Indiana, I don't recall exactly where I was at, but I'm driving down Indiana, and there's a bank that's got these sprinklers with the the big like the rotors shoot those rooster tails out. There's 10 or 11 of them running right there, all in unison. It's just like, what are you doing?
Well, and again, it's knowing where the off switch is. If it rains, turn it off. Leave it off for a while.
One study shows that, and this was a Kansas State University study, that if farmers in Kansas, just in Kansas, keep irrigating at the present rates that they've been doing, 69% of the Ogallala aquifer will be gone in 50 years.
Wow, that's a scary number.
It is.
Yeah.
That's like our children will be having to deal with this. Mm-hmm. That's scary.
Yeah,
it is.
Vikram Baliga, thanks for coming in this morning.
No, thanks for having me.
Horticulture Extension Agent. Hey, real quick before you go, you guys have any summer events coming up?
Nothing major right now. We'll keep you updated. We're kind of in a lull period after we had a crazy spring, and so we're taking a little bit of a break, but we've got some good tree programs and a lot of other stuff coming up early fall.
All right,
Good.
We will keep you apprised.